Back again for another video. On today's topic, we will be talking about the master and the servant. Now, don't take this the wrong way, especially when I say servant. Sometimes that word can be interchangeable with student. Nonetheless, this is the way that we exist most times. No matter if we are at a job or if we're by ourselves, if we are dealing with someone else, relationships, whatever, there will always be a master, master slash teacher slash student slash servant dynamic going on, even when you're by yourself, because the mind is the master over the body. And therefore the body is the servant to the mind, right? Everything that we want our bodies to do, it mostly does for the most part, except for, yes, we want our bodies to breathe, but we don't necessarily regulate breathing consciously. So there is autonomy to the body, but not so much to a degree that the mind has no correction or direction over the body for the majority of its existence. Anyways, when it comes to this dynamic, there are certain tenets that have to be necessary, especially when you're dealing with something like I said, as far as the mind and the body. The body must be mostly, it can't be completely submissive to the mind. And what I mean by this is that if you try to choke yourself, your body wouldn't allow you to aid in your own demise in such a way. This is because it has the ability to override destruction, right? To a degree. Like, for instance, if we consume copious amounts of drugs on a continuous basis, the body doesn't have any choice in this except to react and deal with it, right? The consciousness versus the unconscious body, right? The conscious mind versus the unconscious body, right? So anyways, there has to be a certain level of autonomy for self-preservation, even with the body itself, the unconscious, the student, and the servant. And I understand this. Everyone else should understand this as well. But in regards to how this lays about, where I'm going with this topic is that this is why it is necessary for you as a man, I'm speaking to the men on this one, for you to become a master of yourself, a master of your craft, trade, whatever it is, your philosophy, your intellect, your kindness, whatever you decide to do. And this should, of course, be in the way of your purpose, because the mind has a purpose, and it uses the body to articulate this purpose, to act on this purpose. But nonetheless, they work congruently together for the most part. There are some things like, being clumsy or making mistakes, not having good dexterity, that are just imperfections of the body. But nonetheless, it has a goal in mind. And the body is the master, the mind is the master over the body, right? This means that, like I said, it has majority of control over it, but the body has to be submissive majority, right? It can't be submissive in its own self-destruction, right? That's what we discussed. And it can't be submissive in whether you sneeze or not. And I mean, you can hold a sneeze in, but they sometimes catch you off guard, right? This is the chaos of the body, the intangible workings of the body. We don't see down to the cellular level how cellular respiration works, but we know it exists because that's what we do every day. We have a living flame within us, men and women. But nonetheless, when it comes to its own autonomy, it's only to a degree. So the majority of existence is submitted to the mind. This is for a reason. Think about if your mind was submitted to the body, what would it be doing? All right. It would be doing very hedonistic things, very prehistoric and ancestral things in regards to our lower levels of consciousness, because this is when the body was had a 50-50 with the mind. There was some point in our existence where this actually happens, right? Where, we operated off of fight or flight, low vibration type of existence. And we didn't create much. We just existed for the most part. We had sex, and we made children. We took care of those children. We hunted food, and that was pretty much our existence. No different than many of the other animals on this planet, mammals specifically. But since we have increased our level of consciousness and our cognitive abilities, the mind has become more of a master over the body. And this is by way of structures growing in the mind. If you know anything about the human anatomy and how it became, we didn't have a frontal lobe about more than, I think it was 500,000 years ago. We didn't have that. That is fairly new in the evolution of mammals, actually, the frontal lobe. We didn't have a few of the lobes that we do have. We had what we call the reptilian brain. This is where the parts of the brain can be one for one in regards to reptiles. And a lot of that includes fight or flight, survival, homeostasis of a species, right? I'm not going to get into that very deeply. Don't let me bore you. My whole point of mentioning this is that at some point in time, like I said, the mind was controlled by the body. It was a physical existence instead of an intangible existence, because the mind is very intangible. The mind is very different from the brain, even though they are one and the same. They have a physical existence as far as being cellular, neurotic, or neural base. You know what I mean? Comprised of cells, pretty much, that are specific cells that aren't found really anywhere else in the body, such as the brain, right? So we have evolved those things from what they once were. So therefore, our minds have become masters over the brain, and therefore over the body. Once again, to a certain extent. Don't take what I'm saying as an absolute, okay? Just want to make that clear. But it is a philosophical understanding, all right? Anyways, this is how relationships work. What happens when your body doesn't do what it wants you to, what your mind is instructing it to do? You have dysfunction. You have disruptions. You have a degradation of life and existence. There are many people who are paralyzed from the waist down. Their mind is no longer connected to their body in the way that it once was, or maybe had never been. And they have to learn how to adapt to that type of lifestyle. But it is one that is not functional to its highest capability in its existence of what it was meant to do. Right? The body is not meant to be paralyzed from the waist down or from the neck down. It's not meant for those things. So what I'm saying here denotes a specific relationship that is based upon, once again, the master and servant principle. When you look at relationships, because yes, this is about relationships. When you look at relationships, you have to designate these things very quickly. And especially from the area that we're working from. If you pay attention to what the Bible says, right? I'm actually going to read it to you, what I understand anyway. This is from 1 Corinthians, and I'm just going to read 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. This is speaking directly to what the head is. Therefore, it also tells you simply what the body is, like it says here, once again, and the head of the woman is the man. If we were to one for one this with a sentence in regarding how humans exist, we would say the head of man, The body has the head, right? Let me rephrase that right. Okay. The top of the body is the head, meaning the the direction, the faculties, the higher understanding is the head of the body. The body is represented by the woman because it says, once again, I'll read it one more time. And the head of the woman is the man, right? The head of the woman. A lot of people push back on the Bible. And I understand, people can't believe some of the stories, and people don't believe a lot of what's said in there because it sounds so fantastical. But there are a lot of philosophies in the Bible that just cannot be disputed because we see them play out from day to day throughout our own lives, not even mentioning what we see amongst other people's lives. So, you could, once again, take it with a grain of salt, but I would not take that with a grain of salt. But anyways, I'm giving you the direction that is pointed to what I am saying. Many things that are in actual world are pointing to what I'm saying. There's a CEO of a company. He is the head of the company. Most everything in regards to faculties of higher faculties and a body is represented by a head versus a body. This is common sense. I'm just reading you the Bible to show that there is also evidence biblically of this being said in regards to men and women. What would happen if the woman was the head of man? I already answered that question. It's the same thing that would happen if the body was in charge of the mind. We can see it in our country now. We can see it in our Western style of living now, that the more power that the body takes over the mind, the more debased and lower vibration that it becomes. This is not to say that women are debased creatures or something like that. This is to say that they are not working in congruency with the higher faculty. That's all I'm saying. And the higher faculty is man. Look at what's around you. Once again, you're living in the house, you're driving a car, you're doing all these things that require that someone had to build them before you. You didn't go out and build that car. You didn't go out and build your house. And people will say, "Oh, well, you're a man, and you don't build cars, you don't build houses." But the thing of it is, I build something in society. You see this long catalog of videos that I've made. This is just what you can see. They are from my mind. They are what was given to me to build with. Once again, I am the conduit. I am the one who puts these things together in a way that you can understand them. I was given the blocks. I am building. And most men are on this platform, a lot of the talking points that the women come up with are reactions. They aren't things that they created on their own by any means, or necessarily given to them. They were given to them by man. We are the ones who gave them the topics for the most part. If you look at and if you pay attention to the majority of the channels out there, you'll see that very trend. Women's are parroters, men are creators. Even though it may sound original from coming from her because she puts her own little spin on it, the idea wasn't hers, and it manifested from man first. More than likely 99% of the time, because you have to understand, for everything that is in physical existence, there is an intangible version of the same thing. If we can look around us and see that 99% of the stuff is built by men, we can also say that a lot of the intangible existence that goes along with society was also constructed by men. Now, I know I've said in the past that women are good at creating the social intangible structure. Yes, they are. They are very great at it. But the thing of it is, they're only using the building blocks of what men have left laying around pretty much. They don't use them. Men, we create these ideas socially, and then we're like, Let's go build something. um, and women pick up the blocks and they put these things together and they come up with the social structure. That's the way that I see it. Probably could be slightly off, but that's what's been given to me at this time to say to you all. Nonetheless, when you have the body in charge of the mind, the woman in charge of in charge of man, this brings us back to a prehistoric society, prehistoric existence, because this is exactly what we were a long time ago. Remember the reptile brain? We were once that. And the reason why we are no longer that is because, once again, the faculties came online, and we are now more conscious as a society, as a group, as a whole, as a species, compared to anything else, to our knowledge anyways, to what we understand. But this is the reason why you, as a man, need to continue mastering yourself, because this is part of the problem. I'm not just going to lay it all down on women, because the real thing of it is that men are not pushing themselves to become masters of themselves as much as they used to. Masters of a craft, masters of existence. They're not doing this in the way that we used to anymore, because masculinity is being pushed to the side for hedonistic tendencies, instant gratification, all these things that we see on TV, social media, your day-to-day lives, the things that constantly distract you, keep you on the hamster wheel, but you're going nowhere fast. Those are the things that I'm talking about. We are becoming that society because there's no structure, there's no container for the chaos. The faculties are becoming weak, and it is incumbent upon you at a micro level to raise your faculties so that we can collectively get this pendulum back on the position that it needs to be on. It's swung too far. But anyways, when it comes to how women exist and how men exist, women were made to be the body. That's just the facts of it. Look at everything that she does, everything that she is. What is the body? Does anyone say to you, oh, you have such a beautiful mind, without you speaking? No. They pay attention to your body first. When you're out with your lady and let's say you got a decent looking lady, they look at your lady first before they look at you. You are the mind. She is the body. When people actually pay attention to an individual woman, they don't pay attention to her mind first. They look at her body. This is how we, from the top to the bottom, have raised our consciousness, because we are still akin, we are still, how can I put it? We are still charged by our biology to put things in that manner. This is the reason why your flight or fight response can override your rationality a lot of times. We call it anxiety. Nonetheless, when it comes to paying attention to the body versus the mind, we see this in our tangible existence all the time. It's nothing new. Once again, most of the stuff that I say here is not anything that you can't pick up on your own. I just put a spin on it that helps you understand more of what the puzzle looks like and how to find the pieces and what the pieces are. Basically, I give you the definition of the fundamentals of existence. But anyway, back to the topic. When it comes to this situation where the body has taken over the mind, you can expect a decline in our reality. You can expect a decline in our social life. You can expect a decline. I mean, look at our country. It's declining. China is kicking our asses. Economically, globally influenced, everything. Politically, they're running us. You know, yes, everyone likes Western culture, but what good is hedonistic values without structure? Yeah, you should indulge in some things sometimes. That's what America represents. But China is now representing the powerhouse, the constructor, the builder that we once were. This is because we put too much stock into what's that movie called? Wall-E. That's what we're turning into. We're turning into fat slobs that sit on hover chairs with pigs, right? This is what we're turning into. A lot of people make that correlation of our existence, and we are putting production on the back burner. We're putting our higher faculties on the back burner. But let's talk about it more on a personable level. This is the reason why you master yourself before you meet a woman. I've met women all the time who see the life of leisure that I live, because I don't work like everyone else does. The most sweat I do is probably sweeping my floor, right? And that's if I feel like it, because I can easily call somebody to say, hey, I need you to come do me a couple things real quick. And that's what will get done, because that's the life I live. But I'm doing more things myself. Maybe I've gotten lazy. But anyways, when it comes to mastering yourself, this is very important, especially like I said before, meeting a woman. The reason why you want to master yourself is because she comes as the body. No matter what she comes with, she will always come as the body, period. That's what she's designed as. That's what she is. Let's say that we build a car and we have a body, and then we have the computer system. The body isn't going to change no matter what computer system it needs. It's just going to be what it is. It was built to be a frame, the body of the car, right? It's not going to change no matter what you marry it up with in regards to its functionality and how it works in conjunction with what you marry it up to. It is still going to be the body of a car. And this is what a woman is. She is going to consistently come as the body. So this is the reason why you need to up your faculties as the mind, right? You need to have more control over your own body and over your own brain, over your own life and existence. Because the more you are able to become the higher faculty, the more she will stay in her place as the body. Once again, this is not saying that she's going to come with some level of disagreement or things of her own, which is her autonomy. Remember, the body has a level of autonomy to itself, regardless of what you do. It doesn't have the ability to let itself self-destruct. It's not going to do that. It is always going to remain to fight to balance homeostasis, which is the survival of life, the balance of life, the balance of chemicals, everything. It's going to always strive to do that. So you can't expect the body to do more than what it's supposed to. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can train your body to do things that other bodies cannot do, right? But this comes with the mastering of the mind, because in order to become a master at, let's say, Kung Fu, you have to train the body, but the mind must be disciplined first. There's no way that you can train the body to be something that it is not without having the higher faculty of mind, with a undisciplined mind. You can't have an undisciplined mind in a disciplined body. That's not how it works. How this relates in regards to what I spoke to earlier, the master and the servant. You cannot expect a woman to be a servant if you are not a master. And what I mean by master is a master over yourself and a master over something that you can give to the servant. You cannot be a master without anything to teach. You have to become a master if you want students. You have to become a master if you want servants. And of course, the women are going to push back on this, but let's be real here, women. You're definitely looking for a man that you can look up to. Let's keep that 100. And he would have to assume the master role, and you would have to assume the servant role, because there's only two roles here. Two captains sink a ship. There can't be two masters. No. There can be maybe she is a master at computers and you're a master at many other things. She can be a master at a craft, but in regards to the direction and how things should follow, the mind should not be controlled by the body. Remember, the woman is the body, because the head of woman is man. Remember? So keep that in mind, that in order for you as a man, in order for you as a woman to have a master and you as a man to have a servant. You must assume your roles. Women, bodies, you must be submissive to the mind, man. And man, you must be a master in yourself. You must be a master of yourself. Otherwise, your body is going to fight or flight, go back to reptilian brain. That's what's going to happen. But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. But until next time, this has been the Wolf Invader Clothes. May you have a good day, and peace be with you.